Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. While we are waiting on everyone to arrive, feel free to go ahead and jump in the chat and introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what company you work for, where you're calling in from, and maybe even what you're hoping to learn today. Or if you're struggling with something specific and feel comfortable sharing that, let us know what it is so we can do our best to address it in the presentation today. I'm actually going to go ahead and launch a quick poll as well. Let's see here. There we go. You should see 3 questions available to you now. We're really just trying to get an idea of everyone's plan and timeline for hiring seasonal snow workers this year. So those 3 questions we're looking to answer. What is your target date to have operations fully ready? What position is the most difficult for you to hire right now? And how many seasonal snow employees do you plan to hire? And if you're just arriving, again, we're inviting you to jump in the chat. Let us know who you are, what company you work for, where you're calling in from, and what you're hoping to learn today. And then take a few minutes to answer the poll questions that we've got pulled up as well. And we're just going to wait another couple of minutes for the rest of our attendees to arrive. Not sure if y'all can see the results of the poll as it's coming in. Neal, can you see them?
No, but I also haven't answered the poll, so maybe that's the issue.
Okay, that could be. Looks like 71% are saying that snow shoveler is their most challenging position to hire for right now. And just about everybody's trying to be staffed by the 1st or the 15th of November. And we've got a real wide spread on the number of employees that people are trying to hire. The majority are in the 11 to 25 count, but we're really all across the board there. So I'm going to leave this poll open while I go ahead and start the introduction. So again, if you are just joining us, feel free to hop in the chat, make an introduction, who you are, where you're calling in from. And then also those poll questions will stay open until we get through introductions, which I will go ahead and get started. So let's see, we'll start with an introduction for myself. My name is Danielle Look, and I'm the content marketing manager at Team Engine, where we provide software to recruit, engage, and retain your on-the-go workforce. And in that role, I create the tools and resources like this webinar that you see on our social media and website. And one resource that you might be particularly interested in is our job description templates for snow and ice management positions. We actually have a whole bunch of templates for landscaping positions as well. If you're familiar with we did have a job descriptions template available on our website, but we're in the process of kind of breaking those into industry specific packs. And we just launched the landscaping job description template pack very recently, which includes those snow positions. So you can find those on our website anytime, but you will be receiving an email with the webinar recording later today, and I'll make sure to include a link to those job description templates. So that's me and what I do at Team Engine. And before I hand it over to the speaker today, I really just wanted to take a moment to thank each of you for being here today, for taking the time to invest in a better candidate experience for your community, which is going to, in turn, deliver better employees who are well suited for the hard and demanding work that you need them to do. And our guest speaker for the day is probably one of the most qualified people to be speaking on this topic. And I don't know if you know this, but before Neal Glatt founded Grow the Bench and became one of the industry's best and most recognized consultants, he actually worked for one of the largest contractors in the United States. And in that role, he was faced with the exact same problem that many, if not all of you, are faced with right now, which is not just hiring workers, but also finding workers to hire. So that's what he's going to talk to you about today. And we have a full agenda. So without any further delay, I'll hand it over to you, Neal.
Well, thanks, Danielle. I appreciate the introduction and you putting this whole thing on and together. And I'll just tell you all, if you see some really fancy graphics or you get some great communication or tools around this webinar, they all came from Danielle. She makes me look good and certainly appreciate it. And big fans of Danielle and Team Engine for allowing me to be able to share some of this information with you. And also want to give a shout out to the National Pavement Expo and Conference. Not sure how many of you came from that side of things versus the landscape and snow side, but if you do seal coating or sweeping or line striping or paving, hopefully I'll see you in January down in Charlotte at the NPE show. And if you haven't considered attending that before, it's an awesome show. So big shout out to our partners who make this happen. And I'm excited to be here. And like Danielle said, before I started helping other companies, I wasn't exactly in your situation. I think my last year with Case Snow Management, I had to hire about 1,100 snow shovelers on our roster to be able to have all the coverage we needed. And, you know, every year it got more and more difficult. Every year there was more and more competition for people. And certainly post-COVID, I know my clients are facing an even more difficult situation when it comes to hiring seasonal snow labor. So hoping to share with you a few of the secrets that we used, that I found successful, that my clients have found successful to improve, hire the people that you need, keep them all winter and keep them performing as well. And I'll tell you also, I want this to be super valuable. So for those of you who are joining here live, you get a little added bonus. You can drop any questions or comments that you have in the chat, and we'll respond to those here on the call. For those of you who are watching this pre-recorded, I'll have my contact info at the very end. You can always reach out to me after if you do have more questions. And just looking at the results of this poll that Danielle just sent out, looks like most of us only have 2 weeks from today to be fully ready, which is not a lot of time. Some of you are attempting to be ready today, November 1st, which I think is a great goal and one that we always had and one that we never hit. So I fully resonate with that. And I know that snow shovelers in particular are that biggest hurdle. And I think it's worth talking about why that's so difficult. You know, the problem with these seasonal snow positions is we need people to be on call 24/7. Doesn't matter what day, what time, when it snows, we go for almost all of our companies. And getting somebody to commit to that in any position, in any industry, without break, without excuse, is pretty crazy. I mean, there's very few positions where people are truly 24/7 ready to go and work. And on top of that, we can't give guaranteed hours. I know a lot of companies have started to offer pay that was, you know, flat rate for the season or a guaranteed number of hours. In my opinion, for a lot of snow markets, it's not really financially viable. I'm not a fan of businesses exposing themselves to the risk of guaranteeing hours for every position. Now, for certain key managers, yeah, that makes sense. Paying for training, sure, I'm on board. But for your average snow shoveler to have a guarantee payout, I think exposes the business to too much risk. And even when you do that, even when you do guarantee some pay, it's so low that I don't think it moves the needle, right? It just costs some money. Of course, the work that we're asking people to do is difficult. It's dangerous. it's cold working conditions. It's just straight up not fun. And so we're asking someone to come out and do some of the most difficult work whenever we call. And if there's work available, that's great, but there's no promise of it. So sit around, don't do anything else, just be ready to go. It's really crazy. It's a very unique situation, even more difficult than we face in the green industry. At least there we have some guarantee and consistency, right? If we're doing paving, at least we know the work that we're going to set out to do. And the other problem is so many snow contractors have become so desperate because they sign these big contracts or they have multi-year contracts, and we're seeing these huge increases in rates. We're seeing that people are offering sign-on bonuses, and we're seeing people paying cash instead of paying on the books. And I don't think that any of these are necessarily sustainable for most companies. Now, certainly increased rates. Okay, I used to pay $15 an hour for snow shovelers back in 2010. We kept it there in Massachusetts all the way through at least 2017. And sure, we're due for some increased wage growth. Certainly the minimum wage conversation and legislation is playing a fact there. But for people who are going, I've seen $30, I've seen $40 an hour for snow shovelers. It's not sustainable for our industry. And I think we need to really fight for a fair working wage, definitely more than 15, but we need to also fight against this $40 an hour stuff. The sign-on bonuses, I'm not a fan. I don't understand why people do that, why they get so desperate. It's throwing money away, in my opinion, and paying cash is illegal. And again, you can't be exposing your business to that kind of risk by not following the laws in your state. And it's not safe because people are generally not covered by work comp. At that point, it harms them if they get caught as well. And so it's a bad practice. And I think that a lot of lesser contractors are stooping to that level, and it makes it difficult for us professionals who are trying to do things the right way. And, when we start to talk about what people actually want in a job, it's not those things, right? What people want is, of course, some quality pay and benefits, but they want quality materials and equipment. They want to be able to work with stuff that works. They want to be able to not have to be plowing out there with an open cab. They want to feel like they're being efficient on the job with their materials and equipment. People, more than anything else today, want flexibility in their job. I think we're in a prime position to offer flexibility, but most contractors are going the other way, and they're getting more rigid with their requests. People want teammates who are committed to quality, and they want to work as part of a team. And I think that most teams are at risk when we're throwing people on the team who aren't really committed to doing good work, and then we're not listening to the feedback. And so when our people start to complain that the people they work with aren't really out there to work or aren't doing good work, I think we're risking our A players as a result. And people want work to have meaning, and we have to advertise that. And I'll talk about more of this as we go through, but let me tell you how I recruited snow shovelers. When I was hiring over 1,000 snow shovelers, I was not pitching that people come in and work in cold, dangerous, difficult conditions for $15 an hour. That's what happened, okay? But I didn't pitch that to them like it was a good deal. What I told them is, look, if you work with me, you might be out here shoveling a pharmacy. And the reason why we work so hard to keep these pharmacies safe and clear of snow and ice is so that our grandparents can get their medication all winter long. Like, if you work here as a snow shoveler, you may end up shoveling a grocery store. And the reason why we work so hard to keep these grocery stores clear is so everyone can go out and get their food, their milk, their eggs, their bread, and they can still feed their family even when we get crazy blizzards that shut down the state. Like, we work at the public transportation. We clear the parking lots and the walkways that people use to take the train into Boston. And the reason we work so hard is that even in the worst winters in history, we make sure that people can get to work and make a living for their family. Like, you have to understand, if you work for me, you might be shoveling around a whole bunch of equipment at the utility companies who provide electricity and heat. And we're going to work super hard so that even when blizzards take out the heat for people, it can get restored super quickly because we did our job. And in fact, we are so big that if we don't show up for a single snowstorm, society throughout New England will cease to function. That's a fact. But you can make a difference working for us. And by the way, we pay $15 an hour. And people signed up and worked hard because of what we did, because we were a winning team, because we make a difference. And I know you've heard this before. You refer to yourself as snow fighters. You say that we're emergency response. But we as managers and recruiters have to get that message to the frontline people who don't know that yet. It's not enough just to know it and tell it to the customer. We have to make sure every shoveler views themselves as important as a firefighter for the community. Because the reality is they make the difference. And when we start changing the tone of our ads, we can make an improvement here. So I was on the train this morning. I was looking around. I wanted to share with you an example of a terrible snow shoveler ad. And I had so many to choose from. I just typed in snow shovelers, Massachusetts. They came up. Look at this crap, right? Qualifications. You have to have a cell phone. You have to have transportation. You have to be available and have a flexible schedule to work whenever it snows, day or night. You have to lift 60 pounds. You have to work long hours in extreme conditions. Oh, cool, man. That sounds great. Of course it doesn't. Who would sign up for that? By the way, we pay so little that you can't afford transportation or a cell phone for the demographic that we're working with, right? I mean, when they're comparing this position to, say, working at McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts like we have in New England, right? It's warm, it's inside, it's predictable. I have a friend who manages a whole bunch of Starbucks. You don't have to have transportation to work at Starbucks for her. They will arrange for a public transit card or a Uber or Lyft to get you to your job. Why would somebody come work for you when you're making all these demands? When they can go work for Starbucks, get a ride to work, not need a cell phone that's reliable or used on the job, not have to work in dangerous dark conditions. The only reason I can come up with is because what I told you, we're out here enabling society to function rather than just slinging coffees. And if that's interesting to you, I can help you out. And yeah, it's difficult, but it's worth it. And we need to understand the difference. When you go and you download the job description from Team Engine to help you figure it out about what you're going to require people to do, about communicating the requirements, phenomenal, great, awesome job description. You can't just copy and paste the job description to the job advertisement, right? We need to advertise the job about the great stuff that we do, the difference that we make. We need to have a different tone for our ads. So what would be a great or better job copy? Well, if these things are true, then I would add them into your job advertisements. Join an award-winning team making a difference for our community. I don't care what award you won. If you've won an award, you can say that, right? And it can be a Chamber of Commerce award. It can be a local community best of. It can be a national award. You're probably making a difference as an award-winning team. I would make sure that my people worked with brand new shovels and snow blowers. You're not going to be fighting the pull cords on this stuff. You're not going to be equipped with a snow blower that's going to be coughing up parts as you go down the sidewalk, and then you're going to have to shovel it up. We're going to buy you brand new materials and equipment. I'm going to give you frequent breaks and hot coffee. When snow shovelers worked for me, my expectation was for every hour on the clock, they contributed 45 minutes of work. And I told my managers, every hour they get a 15-minute break to sit inside. Why? Because what we learned is when we pushed them really hard and we made them work a full hour, then they would just go home. And so instead, rather than bump the pay, doubling the pay, let's just take 25% of their time and let them stay warm and healthy, right? Like, oh, you know what? They actually feel cared about because we do care about their health. I would definitely talk about no experience needed and transportation provided. I'd provide transportation to anybody who needs it. Now, if you need transportation, I'm going to make you share an Uber with 5 other shovelers you don't know, right? We're not going to personally chauffeur everybody around, but I'm going to make sure that we can get you to and from the job site economically. And it's never been easier. I mean, back in the day, you had to worry about, can we buy a van? Can we hire a driver? They're on the clock full time. Now you just call up Uber, send them to their house. In fact, Lyft has a program for people who are underemployed. They can get a ride to a job interview, and they can get 3 weeks of rides to and from their they land for free. Lyft pays for it. You just have to make sure the program exists in your city, because it's not in every city, and then educate the people that you hire. I would give all of your people the opportunity to earn a professional winter coat, gloves, hat, and boots. I wouldn't give it away. Giving it away gets too expensive. You're giving stuff to people that never show up again. But I would do a 50% payroll deduction. So if a jacket costs you $30, I would charge them 15. I'd let them work towards that. One year we actually had boots. We had a whole inventory of winter boots. We bought them in bulk. We got them for $50. They cost 120 in stores, and we could equip someone to shovel snow for days. And we charged them, 60, $70 all in for bibs, jacket, gloves, hat, boots all together. And they could earn it off. I would definitely talk about the fact that when it snows, there's unlimited hours and overtime. You need to be paying overtime if they work more than 40 hours in a week. And I would talk about the opportunities for advancement to management positions. The best recruiting tool that I ever had was, if you came in to work as a snow shoveler for me, I would walk you into the garage that was attached to our shop, and I would introduce you to a guy named Robbie. Robbie started working with me. He came from a rough background. He was a temporary seasonal snow shoveler. And over the years, Robbie worked his way up with a great attitude and a willingness to learn to manage a whole shop. And he would stand there and tell guys, listen, I have a full-time job with health insurance. I got here through a lot of hard work. And most of the people who come through the door don't. But if you want it, that opportunity exists. And I would give people a chance to work their way from snow shoveler to site manager to driving a truck, from driving a truck to driving equipment, to being a regional manager. They have to prove themselves along the way. But I would look towards that population to recruit from. And the more success stories you can let be told, rather than trying to advertise to your people, the easier time you'll have recruiting, for sure. And when I'm hiring snow shovelers, I'm specifically looking at untapped talent pools. So I am trying to find people from disadvantaged backgrounds and poor communities. I'm looking for people who are uneducated or unexperienced that dropped out of college or high school or middle school. Specifically, I'm trying to hire people who are disabled. Obviously, they need to physically be able to do the work safely, but maybe they have some developmental disability, and I can manage around that. I'm looking for immigrants. I'm looking for veterans. I'm looking for people who have been unemployed a long time. I'm working with programs to find people who are formerly incarcerated, that got themselves out of jail and are having a hard time finding a job because those who are formerly incarcerated are unemployed between 5 and 6 times the national average. And I know that for snow removal, it doesn't matter if you have face tattoos, or if you made some bad mistakes in the past, or if your criminal record doesn't allow you into secure facilities, because the work that we do doesn't require it. And I will gladly employ you. And I'm hiring people who are retired and are looking for a little extra cash and something to do, or maybe they just want to get away from their spouse for a few hours, a week in the wintertime. Whatever the situation, I will employ these people, because these people need the flexibility of non-commitment that we have in the snow industry. Some of these people need the flexibility of a simple job or a lack of hurdles to work, and we have that opportunity. It's actually, in my opinion, a huge blessing that we can go hire these people. but I believe that we need to be targeting them specifically. And my best snow shovelers ever, out of all the thousands of people I hired, came from a program called Teen Challenge, actually Teen and Adult Challenge. It's an international program. If you Google it, there's a Teen and Adult Challenge within a couple hours of you. And it is a faith-based recovery program for people who are struggling with some addiction. And people check into that program, men and women separately at their separate campuses. And for a period of about 18 months, they try and get their life back on track. And during those 18 months, for several years, I had dozens of them work for me as snow shovelers. And they worked harder than anybody else. And by the way, it's one of the things I'm most proud of, is that we were able to provide opportunities to people who are trying to turn their life around. We have the opportunity in snow removal to do it. And if we work a little extra hard at establishing those partnerships and making some accommodations within our management system, we can actually solve a problem by doing a lot of good for people. But when we start to approach those populations or anyone, we need to make it easy to apply. If I go to your website on my cell phone right now, and I get some big complicated mobile form that asks me a million questions just to shovel snow, I'm out. I'm just not interested. I want it to be super easy, and it should be. For an application, I don't know what else you need besides name, contact info, address, and maybe some relevant experience if you're looking for operators. But for a snow shoveler, there isn't any. You're either willing to work or you're not. I would make sure that you have a mobile-friendly form that's really easy to fill out. And I would allow people to apply via text message, so they can scan a QR code, whether it's on your truck or a yard sign or on business card or on Facebook or social media, and fill out that application really quick. And then I would respond quickly. These people are looking for work. If it's right before a storm, you need to be prepared to respond immediately. The first person to respond is going to win, because if somebody's looking for a job, as soon as they find one, they're done looking. It can't be more than 24 hours. And I would use automated but personalized responses. And then use text message first, because that's how this population likes to communicate. Now, if this sounds like, what am I going to do? It's way too much. My office manager is not going to do it. That's where you need to talk to Team Engine, because they automate this entire process for you. And I'm not telling you that to sell the product. I'm telling you that because every time I refer somebody to Team Engine, they come back and they're like, this is a game changer. I've employed more people. I've been able to respond quickly and capture all these leads. And it's just super easy to use. And so if you don't have all of these items set up with technology, you should check out the free trial offer, and we'll have that at the end. And when you're interviewing them, I think it's important to create lots of small steps where you really quickly engage to confirm their basic info, like where they're located. You quickly schedule the interview with text confirmation. You remind the candidates of that interview that's coming up. When they show up to your office for an interview or wherever you're meeting them, make sure that you're welcoming them warmly, that you're prepared, that you're on time. I would shorten the interview process, especially for shovelers. I only think you need 3 questions. I would hire quickly to keep them engaged and onboard them well. I don't have time to go into all of that right now. This is more of a checklist for the things that we need to be doing better. But when we're trying to hire people, we need to communicate with them before we apply. That's the job advertisement. When we receive the application, immediately with the response back. When we're screening them to make sure that they're in the right area, that they're legally able to work. When we're confirming the interview with them, before the interview, we need to make sure to remind them of it. During the interview, we need to be prepared and engaged. And then after the interview, we have to communicate next steps, and throughout the onboarding process, regularly touching base with them. When people complain that they're getting ghosted by snow shovelers or seasonal labor, every single time I can point to one of these 8 steps where they failed to communicate first. People will abandon you if you don't proactively communicate with them. So this is the setup. Now, the good news is with a system like Team Engine, you can automate a lot of this, and you can do it via text message. Because people want to be conversational, they want to communicate in real time. They want text message communication. They want you to be personable through that process. And the reason why I keep hammering text message is because that's how people communicate today. These snow shovelers do not have emails that they check regularly. They do not operate from a computer. They operate from their phone. And so text message is always there. It's super easy to quickly turn around. It's also low pressure. I mean, today's generation, most of these snow shovelers are scared of talking to a real live person via the phone. I don't know why. I'm in the generation where that's weird for me. It's okay that we're there. Just understand they like text messages low pressure. It's their preferred method and you can automate it. And so when I started working with Team Engine and getting some of my clients on board, I was asking them, how good is this text message thing really? Like, it seems like it would be a game changer, but how effective does it really work out? And what Team Engine has shared with me is that 99% of the time a text message is sent from their platform, it's read. And 97% of the time, it's read within 15 minutes. So if we're struggling to communicate with our workforce, text message is clearly the answer. And when it comes to job postings, like I said, start with a good advertisement, focus on value over price. We need to put up the pay rate, but the tone should really match customer advertisements. It should talk about the opportunity, talk about the purpose, talk about the great things that we do. Sell them onto working with us. Don't give them a list of demands. If you discuss the mission and vision, the opportunity, and what we call CSR, which is corporate sustainable initiatives. Anything that we do that helps the environment, that helps charity, that helps community, or that's a diversity and inclusion movement, any one of those CSR items will boost our job responses by 11%, according to the studies. Corporate social responsibility is all about doing something good in business besides just making a profit. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit type of vibe. It doesn't have to be your overall mission. It can be something small. When I was at Case, we had a real strong CSR initiative around hiring people who are disadvantaged and strategically getting them out. That's all we ever did, was really focus on hiring people who needed a second chance at life. And when we talked about that, we got better response for our job ads. When we're promoting jobs, we need to be on all the job sites. We need to be on using your employee referrals. We need to recruit offline, on social media, on your company career page. And when we look at where to post, Indeed, Facebook, Craigslist, and LinkedIn for your management positions. But no matter what, you have to be posting to all these job sites constantly, which means checking them daily to making sure that you're staying at the top of the list, but not so much that you're spamming the list where you get knocked back down. This is a huge issue. Whenever somebody reposts a job ad, we see an influx of responses. And we need to continue to do that unless you have Team Engine, because Team Engine software will post for you regularly whenever it's available. You could use ZipRecruiter, but it's expensive. Make sure that your job postings are complete and include the pay range. Experiment with different job titles. Experiment with different areas and zip codes. Don't just use your own zip code, use the perimeter ones as well. Check daily for relevancy and repost whenever available. Now, for employee referrals, I would tell my employees to go find better teammates. This is a phrase I used all the time. I didn't pay employee referral bonuses. I don't think they're necessary. I think that we have a great place to work, and I think that my people want to work with better people. So I would tell them, let's build the best team possible by finding better teammates. Go help me. I would enable carpooling. Hey, if you want to save money on gas, find a carpool together. Go recruit someone that you live with. I'd remind all the employees every week, bring us your friends, your family members, anybody you know that's looking for a job. In advance of storms, hey, we're looking for more people to join our team. Do you know anybody who could shovel? And I would end every single conversation with an ask for a referral. Hey, thanks for stopping by. By the way, do you know anybody else who might want to work here? When I used to call snow shovelers before snowstorms, because we didn't have fancy text messaging from Team Engine at the time, I would always say, great, I'll send an Uber to your house. By the way, is there anybody in your house who also wants to make money? And I'm telling you, 20% of the time, somebody will be like, oh, yeah, there's a guy right next to me. He wants to work too. One time, I heard him on the phone. He goes, hey, you guys want to come shovel? No, for money. They're going to pay us to shovel. He goes, yeah, Neal, I got 5 more people. Like, all I did was ask, and it never occurred to them. You don't need to be paying for referrals. You just need to remind people all the time. Make it your policy that you end conversations with an ask for an employee referral. All right, text to apply, immediate interaction, easy mobile forms, posting daily, QR codes. You got to get Team Engine, guys. You can't execute all these things the way that I'm telling you is going to work for success without software to help you, or you're going to pay someone in the office a fortune. If you haven't tried Team Engine yet, pull out your phone, scan this QR code, let them give you a free trial. You have 2 weeks to get winter ready according to the poll. This will help you. You can already leverage this free trial right now. We'll also get it to you after. The other cool thing that you can do with Team Engine is you can use it for in-season communication. So you can text all these people you hire weekly, 3 days before the event and the day before the event to let them be ready for the winter storm. You can have them positively text message back that they're available and manage all of that from a desktop without giving out personal numbers. You can ask for referrals every week on an automated basis. And you can even create groups of messaging site by site so that your managers can participate in that process if you'd like. And you can use it for engagement surveys. So I would be asking my shovelers, how can we make our company a better place to work? What's the best part of the job? What would make you feel more appreciated? And what should we offer differently next season? As examples of things that you can easily ask everybody with a quick blast message. All right, ton of information. I know you're going to go back and rewatch this, but I also know that you're going to be hiring a bunch of people who are maybe new to your industry. And so I want to give you a couple of opportunities to improve before we go to Q&A if we have any. And if you have questions, drop it in the chat now and we'll get to it in a minute. First opportunity to improve, like I said, we've partnered with the National Pavement Expo and Conference. I'll be there speaking for several days at several workshops, but for snow removal in particular, I'll be giving a presentation Friday, January 27th from 10 to 11:30, covering all of the preseason, in-season, postseason checklists, talking about all the different types of equipment we use and how we use it in snow removal, walk you through how to do site plans and build a process, and talk a little bit about the staffing and communication stuff in more detail. You can scan this QR code for information on that conference and to register. It's going to be a fun time and a nice few days to get away to a little bit warmer weather in Charlotte there, which is super cool, by the way. They have the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and I know there's a bigger reception. So like any good trade show, there's drinks and networking. So be there for that. Starting next week, since I know you're hiring a bunch of snow people right now, we at Snow Fighters Institute are running a virtual boot camp. And so we will help train all of your new people for 2 weeks from November 7th to November 18th. There's a live 1 hour call on Mondays and Fridays. And in between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there are 6 on-demand modules that you can watch at your convenience. They're about 15 minutes each. And we will help you take someone who's brand new to the industry and get them ready for winter, covering all the basics, all the expectations that they need to work for snow. And then all you need to worry about is the site-specific details in your company, payroll, timesheet processes, that kind of thing. Due to some great sponsorships, including Team Engine, we're able to offer this for $75 for up to 10 people. So you can train a good chunk of your team very affordably. You can scan that QR code to join us. You can sign up this week. You'll also have access to all of that content all the way through May. So if you hire people in December, January, because you're always replacing snow shovelers, I understand. and you'll have access to that training to go rewatch. So scan that QR code if you're interested in joining us for that training. It's one of the greatest things that we've been able to roll out for getting your team winter ready. And before I answer the questions, I think the question is, why do we need to improve here? Well, I believe that everybody in the world wants a good job, and we can offer good jobs in our industry, and that jobs are really the heart and soul of a nation. And I truly believe that if I can help you make your workplace better to work, you'll thrive, you'll offer more good jobs for people, you'll build a stronger community. And if we all do that, our whole country will improve as a result. And I think we can change the world by doing that, because jobs are really the heart and soul of a nation. And if you want to help me change the world, you can do two things. First and foremost, take whatever insight I was able to give you that's helpful. Just go back and build a better workplace. I know you're going to hop on right now and rewrite the job ads. And you're going to hop on right now and try and improve your communication with your employees. Do that. Unless you call me for help, I'm not where you work. I can't help your employees, but you can. And that's the most important thing. But the second thing you can do is refer me to speak. I'm only here speaking because somebody referred me to Team Engine. And if you know of a trade show coming up, if your company needs help, if you know of any organization, Chamber of Commerce, or other group that would benefit from a talk like this in snow or in any other industry, I'd love the referral, and that would be super helpful. And I'm just going to leave up my contact information. That's my cell phone, my email address. If you want more education, you go to trial.growthebench.com, and we have a free trial for there. The virtual bootcamp Turk is unfortunately not available in Spanish. It's in English only so far. Something we'll work on for next year for you. And good question. I said I'd only ask 3 questions. What are the 3 questions that I would ask when interviewing? And I'm going to type this out too. I think it'll be available for everybody. 1, are you legally able to work in the US? 2, can you physically do the job required? 3, are you willing to travel to the job site, whatever job site it is? If they're able to work in the US, if they're able to physically do the job, and they're able to get to the job site or willing to get there via a ride, in my opinion, they're qualified to be a snow shoveler, maybe more qualified than some other ones. And so those are the only 3 questions I would ask to screen people. I'll also mention, while we give another minute for any Q&A, feel free to connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn. We also publish a weekly blog. You can text BENCH, BENCH, to 42828, where we send out some nice weekly articles that are short, as well as a podcast we have on Grow the Bench. And with that, it's 2:43 here on the East Coast anyway, and I don't see any other questions. Feel free to connect with me via email or text message or phone later, but I hope this was helpful. Thank you for your time. Danielle, do you have any follow-up items here?
No follow-ups from me. Just a thank you for sharing your knowledge with everyone. And like you've said, and we said at the beginning, this is all about creating a better workplace and investing in the community. So thank you so much for being here, and thanks to everyone for showing up. And we will be sending out the recording so you can share that with your teammates or pass along to people in your network who weren't able to be here today. And I will also include a link to those job description templates. So thank you everyone for being here, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Good luck this winter.